Hidden away in the southwest corner of the Peak District Natural Park, near to Leek in North Staffordshire, lies a very special place. First carved by glaciers and then by the river over thousands of years, creating a wild and glorious landscape.
This is the Manifold Valley.
The valley is a quiet and peaceful place, but in the past it was a hive of activity, the remnants of which still remain today. The River Manifold gets its name from the Anglo-Saxon word means fold, meaning many folds, and rises on Axe Edge near Buxton at over 1,800 feet above sea level, the highest point in Staffordshire. For thousands of years this little river has carved its meandering course through the Staffordshire moorlands. It passes through Longer and Hugh End before the scenery takes a dramatic change as the river enters a deep limestone valley. Spectacular crags now dominate the landscape, including the impressive Thor's Cave at over 250 feet above the valley. Just below the old watermill at Wetton Bridge, the river disappears underground during the summer months. But what happens to the water? For many years this remained a mystery, but in the early 20th century, using dyes, it was discovered that the river reappeared within the grounds of Ilam Hall, over 4 miles away from Wetton. These are known as the boil holes, and also contain the water from the River Hamps, whose valley adjoins the Manifold. So from Wetton Bridge to Ilam, the Manifold is usually dry between May and October. For hundreds of years, farming has been the mainstay of the valley. But for many centuries, some of the richest deposits of copper ore in the world were mined from Ecton Hill. In the 18th century, the miner, the 5th Duke of Devonshire, is said to have made over £350,000 from the mines, a huge sum in those days. Over 100,000 tons of copper ore were extracted from Ecton Hill. The mines closed and were allowed to flood in 1891. In 1898, an event that would change the valley forever began. A group of local businessmen and mill owners financed the building of a light railway. This would run from Waterhouses to Hugh End, a distance of over 8 miles. It would be known as the Leek and Manifold Valley Light Railway and be operated by the North Staffs Railway Company. The railway was based on the Indian Barnsley line and had a gauge of 2 foot 6 inches and was opened in July 1904. The railway company were keen to promote the line as a romantic tourist attraction, but its main source of income was the carriage of milk from their creamery at Ecton. These old pictures are from my own collection of postcards issued by the North Staffs Railway Company over 100 years ago. A unique feature of the line is the tunnel at Swainsley. This would have normally been a cutting, but the owner of Swainsley Hall insisted on a tunnel so that he couldn't see the trains from his windows. Oddly though, the landlord, a mill owner, was the director of the railway. The railway was never a success, and after the NSR was absorbed by the LMS in 1923, they showed very little interest in the line. When Ecton Dairy was closed in 1932, the end of the line was inevitable. It was finally closed in 1934 and the track was removed. All was not lost though, as in 1937 the track bed was handed over to Staffordshire County Council and the Manifold Way path was opened. once again giving public access to this majestic valley. The harsh winters in the Peak District seem to be a thing of the past. This is the only day of snow that has occurred up to now this year. I've been here most of the afternoon, and I haven't even seen a single person. Just the sound of the river and the odd robin to keep me company. It seems that snow has been replaced by lots of heavy rain in winter nowadays. The river has been so high that the road has been closed for a while. After all the activities of the past, nature has now taken over and returned the Manifold to its former glory. Spring is a miraculous experience. The whole world comes alive after the winter, when it seemed that everything was dead. Lesser celandine are always the first sign of spring. A male peregrine falcon has set up his territory on this crag. Sadly, he has no mate at present. There are a number of pairs of dippers on the river. One of this year's nests is under the old railway bridge. Wood anemones are always a welcome sight in early spring. Moving downstream towards Thor's Cave, the river is already drying up and disappearing underground, and this is only the second week in April. Wow, a hare. They're getting quite rare, so it's really good to see one. It is my intention to climb up to Thor's Cave in the next few weeks when the valley is much greener. What a wonderful way to spend a day in May, sitting by the Manifold watching the dipper feeding its newly fledged chick. The chick is nearly the size of its parents. Brilliant. Look over there, a spotty flycatcher. These little birds arrive in May after flying all the way from Africa. There's no shortage of flies for them to catch here. They take advantage of our long hours of daylight to raise their young. The peregrine is on his usual perch. Sadly, there's no sign of a mate though. The old bridge at Wetton Mill was built in the 1800s for the Duke of Devonshire. It's a favourite haunt of grey wagtails and dippers. I've decided to walk through Swainsley Tunnel this afternoon. Today the tunnel is used as part of the road along the valley. It's surprisingly high. This was to enable the tall railway transporter wagons to pass through. After passing through the tunnel and following the old road on the east bank of the river, this was the right of way for the old track bed was used as a road. Come across a nuthatch family making their nest in an old ash tree. See how they fill in the hole with mud, just leaving enough room for an adult to pass through. Well, that was hard work. It's over a half a mile walk and a 250 feet climb up to Thor's Cave, but well worth it. Just look at the view. Thor's Cave, named after the Norse god Thor, is a natural limestone cave. It was occupied by humans thousands of years ago and used as a burial site. The bones of bears were also found here during excavations in the 1920s. Listen to that. Great spotted woodpeckers. The riverbed is completely dry now this far downstream. These grids, which are underwater during the winter, cover the entrances to the underground caverns. With permission, it is possible to explore the caverns for a short distance, but there is no route through to Ireland where the river reappears. There is just enough water in the river for the dippers to feed. You would think that the youngster would be able to look after itself by now. They mainly feed on caddiet scrubs, which are the larva stage of dragonflies. Well, I've enjoyed the spring and early summer, but I'll leave the valley to the tourists now until the autumn. Very few relics of the railway remain intact, except for the old station building at Hume End. Today this is used as a visitor centre. This sign is a replica. When you consider that Hartigan and Sheen were quite a few miles away, not many passengers would have used the trains from those villages. These are the only original sleepers remaining. They led to the engine shed. This shed is a replica and is used as a cafe, which is closed today. What a pity the railway isn't running nowadays. I'm sure it would be very popular. Never mind, I'll use my own transport. As the year draws to a close, the valley begins to fade into its quiet winter mode again. The migrant birds have departed for warmer climates. The river is back up running on the surface once again. And sadly the peregrine still has no mate. Perhaps he'll have better luck next year.